Japan. Yeah, you think you know it. Temples that whisper ancient secrets, cherry blossoms painting the landscape in fleeting pinks, the almost religious devotion to a perfect piece of nigiri. It's a land of profound beauty, a place meticulously curated where every rock and every garden seems to have a story. The bullet train, a silver serpent, slicing through landscapes that shift from hyper-modern cityscapes to serene, misty mountains. It's all true, all stunning, all part of the package. You see the glossy photos, the serene documentaries, the highlight reels focusing on a specific, carefully polished version of this incredible country, and it's easy to believe that's the whole story. But peel back a layer, just one. Look past the polite bows and the serene tea ceremonies. Venture beyond the well-trodden paths of the Golden Route. Because like any place worth its salt, Japan has its shadows, its hidden corners, its districts that pulse with a different kind of energy when the sun dips below the horizon and the salaryman loosens his tie. These aren't the places you'll find on the average tourist itinerary, not typically highlighted in the guidebooks handed out at the airport. We're talking about the adult entertainment districts, the so-called Mizu Shobai, the water trade. A world as complex and in its own way as culturally ingrained as any other, a nocturnal landscape painted in neon and desire. So buckle up. My name is Fikti CK, and in this journey we're not just sightseeing, we're diving headfirst into the neon-drenched alleys and bustling streets of Japan's top 10 adult entertainment districts. These are places where desire, commerce, and a very particular kind of Japanese hospitality collide, creating a unique and often misunderstood facet of modern Japanese life. Forget what you think you know, or what you've been told to expect. This is where the night truly comes alive, where modern indulgence meets traditions of performance and entertainment that are older than you might imagine. Let's dive in. Kabukicho. Even the name has a certain ring to it, doesn't it? Tokyo's infamous sleepless town. If Tokyo is a beast, a sprawling, ever-evolving megalopolis, then Kabukicho is its wild, untamed, neon-lit heart, pumping life, money, and God knows what else through its veins 24/7. This isn't a place for the faint of heart, or for those seeking a quiet, contemplative evening stroll. It's a full-frontal sensory overload from the second you step out of the labyrinthine Shinjuku station and cross Yasukuni Dori. Towering signs, a chaotic collage of kanji and katakana, screaming in 1,000 colors, barkers on every corner promising paradise or at least a memorable night, the low thrum of bass escaping from hidden clubs, the mingled aromas of yakitori, stale beer, and something else, something uniquely kabukicho. It's a chaotic symphony of human desire, a concrete jungle where every narrow alleyway promises either delight or perhaps just a little bit of well-managed danger. You've got host and hostess clubs with their impeccably groomed staff, love hotels stacked like glittering, fantastical jewel boxes offering temporary escapes, pachinko parlors clattering and flashing into the wee hours, dive bars that have seen generations of patrons come and go. It's a dizzying maze, a place where you can truly lose yourself, willingly or otherwise. You'll see salarymen, ties askew, looking for release after a brutal work week, wide-eyed tourists, cameras flashing, trying to capture the spectacle, and characters that look like they've stepped straight out of a Yakuza film, observing the flow from a shadowy doorway. It's a place of performance, of fantasy, of transactions both spoken and unspoken, a grand stage for the theater of the night, but beneath the glitz and the undeniable grime, there's a certain order to the chaos, a uniquely Japanese way of managing the unmanageable, of containing the ID. It's a spectacle, a human zoo, and a testament to Tokyo's relentless, often overwhelming energy. You don't just visit Kabukicho, you experience it, you absorb it, and it definitely leaves a mark. Roppongi. Now here's a different flavor of Tokyo nightlife, though no less intense in its own particular way. If Kabukicho is the gritty, sprawling, homegrown beast, Roppongi is its more international, perhaps slightly more polished, and often more overtly aggressive cousin. This is where the expats, the diplomats with their expense accounts, the models on assignment, and a significant contingent of tourists often congregate, looking for a taste of Tokyo after dark that feels a little more familiar, or maybe just louder, with more English spoken and a higher chance of hearing a top 40 hit from back home. The air buzzes with a cacophony of languages. The music spills, or rather explodes, from countless bars and clubs, each promising the best night of your life, or at least the most expensive one. It's a place that's always felt a bit like an international zone, a crossroads of cultures all looking to let loose, sometimes with reckless abandon. It's not all high-end lounges and champagne rooms where bottles with sparklers are paraded through the crowd. though there's certainly plenty of that to go around if that's your particular poison. You've got your dive bars tucked away, your rock clubs with sticky floors, and yes, your adult entertainment venues, often catering more overtly and sometimes more crudely to a foreign clientele. There's a certain transactional vibe here too, naturally, but it feels different from kabukicho, perhaps a little less steeped in purely Japanese tradition and ritual, a bit more globalized and blunt in its approach to the night's commerce. It's a place of high energy, high heels, designer labels, and sometimes, inevitably, high drama played out on the sidewalks. Roppongi pulses with a relentless beat, a siren song for those seeking oblivion, a connection, or just a damn good, albeit often overpriced party. It's Tokyo with its international face on, ready for whatever the night might bring. Way up north on the vast, often snow-covered island of Hokkaido, lies Sapporo, a city famous for its pristine snow festival that draws artists and visitors from around the globe, its crisp, refreshing beer, and its incredible soul-warming ramen, a necessity in the frigid winters. But when the snow falls thick and fast, and the temperature plummets to bone-chilling lows, Susukino, the city's sprawling entertainment district, heats up in a blaze of neon and human activity. This is Hokkaido's undisputed answer to Tokyo's nocturnal playgrounds, the largest and most vibrant district of its kind north of Honshu. It's a well-organized grid of streets, avenues and alleys, illuminated by a dazzling profusion of neon signs that cut through the crisp northern air, their reflections shimmering off icy pavements in winter or rain-slicked streets in other seasons. It feels a bit more spread out, perhaps a little less claustrophobic than its Tokyo counterparts, but the energy, the sheer concentration of options for nocturnal diversion, is undeniable. Here, amidst the renowned seafood restaurants overflowing with fresh crab and uni, and the countless izakayas serving up local delicacies, you'll find the familiar and perhaps not so familiar array of bars, clubs, karaoke boxes, and, yes, the adult-themed establishments that define these districts across Japan. There's a certain frontier spirit to Susukino, a feeling that you're at the edge of something, geographically and perhaps culturally. Perhaps it's the harshness of the climate that fuels the desire for indoor comforts, for warmth, for company, for escape, however fleeting or transactional it might be. From raucous karaoke bars where groups of salarymen belt out their favorite tunes with surprising passion, to more discreet, softly lit establishments tucked away on the upper floors of nondescript buildings, Susukino offers a full spectrum of nocturnal diversions, all with a distinct Hokkaido flavor. It's a potent reminder that the pursuit of pleasure, in its myriad forms, knows no latitude and certainly isn't deterred by a bit of snow. Down south in Kyushu, the third largest of Japan's main islands, you hit Fukuoka, a city with a well-deserved reputation for incredible food, particularly its tonkotsu ramen, a generally laid-back vibe and a surprisingly cosmopolitan feel. But then there's Nakasu, an island, quite literally, a sliver of land sandwiched between the Naka and Hakata rivers, and metaphorically, an island almost entirely dedicated to the pleasures of the night. As dusk settles over Fukuoka Bay and the city lights begin to twinkle, Nakasu transforms. The warm, often humid Kyushu air fills with the clatter of pachinko parlors, the sometimes off-key melodies drifting from karaoke bars, and the persistent, persuasive calls of touts trying to lure patrons into their respective establishments. Hundreds, if not thousands of establishments are crammed onto this relatively small piece of land, creating a density of nightlife options that's truly impressive, a beacon of light and activity in the southern night. The iconic yatai, Fukuoka's famous open-air food stalls, line the riverbanks on the edges of Nakasu, offering a delicious, more wholesome and incredibly atmospheric counterpoint to the hostess clubs, snack bars, soaplands, and other adult-oriented venues that dominate the island's interior streets. It's this blend, this juxtaposition of simple street food pleasures and more elaborate nocturnal enterprises, that makes Nakasu particularly interesting. You can have a world-class steaming bowl of Hakata ramen, watching the city lights reflect on the water, then wander a few steps into a different world, a labyrinth of neon promises and carefully curated companionship. There's a real local feel here, despite the obvious commerce and the influx of tourists. It's perhaps less about overwhelming, almost theatrical spectacle, and more about a certain Kyushu brand of hospitality, even in its most transactional forms. Nakasu is a compact, potent, and undeniably alluring shot of southern Japanese nightlife. Nagoya, often perceived perhaps unfairly as primarily an industrial hub, a bit of a workhorse city nestled in the Chubu region, geographically and culturally positioned somewhere midway between the titans of Tokyo and Osaka. It's known for Toyota, for its unique miso-based cuisine, and for being a critical transport link. But don't let its daytime demeanor, its focus on commerce and manufacturing, fool you. Come nightfall, the Sakai district asserts itself with considerable force as a major player in Japan's after-dark scene, a vibrant core of entertainment and release for the region's populace. It's a sprawling area, a thoroughly modern concrete landscape of towering department stores, sleek office buildings, and once the sun sets and the office lights dim, a veritable labyrinth of bars, clubs, restaurants, and entertainment venues of all stripes. The iconic Nagoya TV Tower and the futuristic water-topped Oasis 21 complex provide a gleaming, contemporary backdrop to the more earthly pursuits unfolding in the bustling streets and hidden alleys below. Sake isn't as overtly or exclusively red light in its entirety as some other districts featured on this list. Its character is more multifaceted, blending high-end shopping and mainstream entertainment with the specific allure of adult-oriented businesses. But the adult entertainment options are certainly there, deeply woven into the fabric of its broader nightlife, catering to a wide spectrum of tastes and budgets. You'll find hostess clubs and kyabakura tucked away in the upper floors of commercial buildings, lively pubs and izakayas spilling onto the sidewalks, and clubs thumping with electronic music or live bands until the early hours of the morning. It serves the diverse needs of a large metropolitan population, offering everything from sophisticated cocktail lounges with skyline views to more down-and-dirty, no-frills establishments. There's a certain business-like efficiency to some of it, perhaps reflecting Nagoya's industrial roots, but the fundamental desire for escape, connection, and entertainment is as potent here as anywhere else in this fascinating country. Osaka, a city that revels in its reputation for being a bit rougher around the edges than its polished rival Tokyo, more down-to-earth, more direct, more Osaka. It's a place of incredible food. Kidaore, eat till you drop is the local motto, boisterous locals and a distinct, vibrant culture. And Shinsekai, which ironically translates to New World, is a perfect, almost poignant embodiment of that spirit, albeit a new world that feels decidedly, charmingly, and sometimes startlingly old. This place is a glorious, slightly dilapidated, and utterly captivating time capsule. Dominated by the Tsutenkaku Tower, a rusty-looking but beloved sentinel looking down on streets that seem to have willfully ignored the passage of several decades, Shinsekai offers a retro entertainment experience unlike almost any other in Japan. It's less about sleek, futuristic modernity, and more about a kind of Showa-era charm, generously mixed with a healthy dose of unpretentious grit and a palpable sense of history. Cheap and cheerful eateries serving up Osaka's famous kushikatsu, deep-fried skewers, fugu restaurants with their ominous giant pufferfish lanterns hanging outside, old-school game arcades filled with the clatter of mahjong tiles and the ping of ancient pachinko machines. These are the staples. And yes, woven into this nostalgic tapestry is a unique, rather direct brand of adult entertainment, often less about the elaborate fantasies of hostess clubs and more about a certain straightforwardness. Shinsekai has a reputation, a long and colorful history. It's a place where the past clings stubbornly, almost defiantly, to the present. The vibe is less about manufactured glamour and more about a kind of unvarnished, almost theatrical reality. It's undeniably colorful, deeply atmospheric, and perhaps, if you look closely, a little melancholic, like a grand old dame who's seen better days but still knows how to put on a show. A walk through Shinsekai at night is a walk through a different, fading yet fiercely resilient Japan. Yoshiwara. The name itself is heavy, freighted with centuries of history with art, literature, legend, and a certain undeniable, tragic romance. This isn't just another entertainment district, not by a long shot. It's the historic, officially sanctioned red light district of Tokyo, or Edo, as it was once known. For centuries, from the early 1600s, this was the designated pleasure quarter, a walled city within a city, a place of elaborate ritual and complex social codes, home to famed oiran, artists, writers, and a whole intricate culture of the ukiyo, the floating world. Today the ancient wooden tea houses and lattice-windowed structures are mostly gone, casualties of fires, earthquakes, and the relentless march of modernization, replaced by more contemporary, often rather bland buildings. But the legacy, the potent echoes of that extraordinary past, still linger in the air, in the street names, in the layout of the district, in the very soil beneath your feet. It's a place that demands a certain respect, a moment of reflection for its complex, often sorrowful, and undeniably significant history. The modern Yoshiwara is a landscape dominated by soaplands, a uniquely Japanese institution that emerged to navigate post-war prostitution laws and other adult service establishments. It's a far cry, visually and culturally, from the artistic salons and poetic exchanges of the Edo period, yet it operates under the same fundamental centuries-old premise of providing sensual services within a designated zone. The streets here are generally quieter, more discreet, almost subdued compared to the boisterous chaos of Kabukicho or the international buzz of Roppongi. There's a certain institutional, almost clinical feel to some parts of it. Visiting Yoshiwara today is less about a party atmosphere or casual entertainment, and more about confronting a direct lineage of Japan's organized and historically regulated sex industry. It's a place that provokes thought, a stark, sometimes uncomfortable reminder of the enduring nature of human desire and the industries, ancient and modern, that cater to it. Chapter 8, Tobita Shinchi, Osaka, a controversial glimpse into old-style brothels. Now, Tobita Shinchi in Osaka. This is a place that exists in a sort of open secret, a jarring throwback that many people, both Japanese and foreign, find deeply unsettling, and for very understandable reasons. It's one of Japan's largest and most traditional-looking red light districts, but the word traditional here takes on a very specific, and for many, profoundly uncomfortable meaning. Walking through its narrow, lantern-lit lanes, especially as evening descends, is like stepping directly into a pre-war film set, if that film was an unflinching depiction of open-display brothels. The architecture in many parts is often beautifully preserved. Old wooden townhouses or machiya with glowing paper lanterns, meticulously kept entryways adorned with flowers and Norin curtains. It's a strange, almost surreal and deeply jarring contrast to the nature of the commerce happening quite openly within. Young women, often dressed in elaborate costumes, schoolgirl uniforms, nurse outfits, kimonos, sit in the genkan, the brightly lit entranceways of these establishments, in full direct view of anyone passing by. They are usually seated next to an older woman, the yarite or mama-san, who calls out to potential customers. Photography is strictly, and I mean strictly, forbidden, and attempts to do so can be met with aggressive confrontation. It's a system that operates with a rather thin veneer of legitimacy as Japanese-style restaurants or ryotai, a legal fiction that has allowed it to persist despite anti-prostitution laws. It's confronting to say the very least, and raises a multitude of ethical questions. Tobita Shinchi is emphatically not for the casual tourist looking for a fun night out or a bit of quirky sightseeing. It's a stark, controversial, and deeply complicated piece of Japan's social fabric, a relic of a bygone era that somehow, controversially, still exists in the 21st century. Chapter 9, Koganeko, Yokohama. From red lights to art lights, a district reborn, mostly, Koganeko in Yokohama presents a fascinating and somewhat hopeful story of urban transformation and community reclamation. For decades, this area, nestled rather unglamorously under the elevated Keikyu railway tracks, was notorious as one of Japan's more illicit and run-down red-light districts. It was a place where illegal prostitution, drug dealing, and other underground activities thrived, largely hidden in plain sight. It was gritty, often perceived as dangerous, and generally off-limits to casual visitors or even many locals. The kind of place you didn't just stumble into by accident, and if you did, you might be advised to stumble back out rather quickly. Its reputation was, to put it mildly, unsavory. But then, starting in the mid-2000s, a concerted effort by the city of Yokohama, local police and community organizations began to radically change things. A significant crackdown on the illegal brothels and organized crime elements paved the way for a bold vision for something new, something creative. Today, Koganeko is a work in progress, a vibrant and evolving arts district where artists' studios, small independent galleries, workshops, and community spaces have replaced many of the former illicit establishments. Colorful murals brighten the concrete supports of the railway tracks, and a palpable creative energy fills the air, particularly during its annual art festival. However, the transformation isn't entirely total, nor is the past completely erased. Echoes of its former life remain, and some adult entertainment venues still operate, albeit much more discreetly and legally, coexisting, sometimes uneasily, with the new artistic identity. It's this tension, this layering of a difficult history with an optimistic reinvention, that makes Koganeko particularly compelling. It's a testament to a city's ability to reclaim and redefine its forgotten or marginalized spaces, even if the ghosts of the past never fully depart. Chapter 11. Fukuhara, Kobe. Fun by the sea and bright city lights. Kobe. It's a cool port city that sits between the Rokko Mountains and Osaka Bay. For a long time, people from all over the world have come here to trade. So Kobe feels like a mix of many different countries. It's super famous for its yummy beef that just melts in your mouth. And they have lots of places that make sake, that Japanese drink, in an area called Nara. Some parts of Kobe look really fancy, almost like cities in Europe, especially a place called Kitano-cho. But, like any good port city where sailors, traders and travelers have been visiting for hundreds of years, Kobe has a busy side at night. And Fukuhara, that's where a lot of the exciting stuff has always happened. And it still does. A long time ago, this place was for the sailors and men who came off the ships. They came from all over the world, and this area helped them relax and have fun. They offered them good times. Things have changed a bit since then, but that idea of having a good time is still around. Today, Fukuhara is a pretty busy area. Not too big, but packed with all sorts of fun things to do. You've got pachinko places with bright lights and noisy game centers. Then there are the usual hostess bars, snack bars, and clubs. And there are quite a few places just for grown-ups, including a lot of soaplands. The neon lights here are super bright as in the bigger city areas. Their colorful lights shine on the wet streets, and they seem to promise a way to get away from it all, have some excitement and find some company. It might not be as huge as those really big places like Kabukicho in Tokyo or Minami in Osaka, but Fukuhara has its own special, strong vibe. It feels like a place where all kinds of different people wanting different things come together. You'll see local office workers relaxing after their jobs, groups of friends having a fun night out, and maybe some tourists carefully looking around its streets. There are lots of different things offered here, for all kinds of people and for different amounts of money. Some things are pretty normal fun, and others are just for grown-ups. Fukuhara is pretty direct about things, no messing around. It's a port city, so it's very practical about providing fun. This place knows what people want, and it gives it to them, simply, and without making a big deal out of it. It's a great example of how these fun districts in Japan work well for the city, and the people who visit. Outro. The last call reflections from the neon edge. So there you have it. 10 windows, 10 fleeting glimpses into a side of Japan that doesn't always make the travel brochures or the official tourism campaigns. From the overwhelming, almost hallucinatory sensory assault of Kabukicho to the weighty historical echoes of Yoshiwara, from the charmingly dilapidated retro vibes of Shinsekai to the stark, controversial directness of Tobita Shinchi, and all the varied shades in between. These aren't just random collections of bars, clubs, and dimly lit doorways. They're complex ecosystems, intricate reflections of societal desires, economic realities, unspoken anxieties, and deeply ingrained cultural nuances. Places where human connection, however commodified, however fleeting, however performative, is the essential currency. It's easy to judge from a distance, to moralize, to sensationalize, or to simply gawk with a mixture of fascination and discomfort. But to really begin to understand a place, any place, you have to be willing to look at all of it. The light and the shadow, the sublime and the sometimes sordid. These districts, with their insistent neon glow and their hushed, whispered promises, are as much a part of the fabric of Japan as the serene temples, the meticulous gardens, and the polite efficiency of its public transport. They speak to a different kind of human need, a different kind of ritual, a different facet of what it means to be human in this particular fascinating corner of the world. They are, in their own often challenging way, intensely human places, for better or for worse. And that's what we look for, isn't it? The human story, in all its messy, contradictory, and often uncomfortable glory. This journey, this brief immersion into these nocturnal landscapes, it inevitably changes your perspective a bit, or at least it should. You start to see the patterns, the performances, the unwritten rules, the delicate dance of commerce and desire. You see people on all sides of the transaction seeking something: escape, companionship, oblivion, validation, or maybe just a place to forget the relentless pressures of the day for a few precious hours. Japan, in its infinite, often baffling complexity, continues to surprise, to challenge, and to fascinate. Thanks for coming along with me, FeekDCK, on this particular dive into the undercurrents. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe, just maybe, keep your eyes open to the stories hidden in plain sight, even or especially when the lights are low and the